Hello, and welcome to episode number 13 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is the second week of May 2020 episode of Raw, and we're continuing on the road to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Without any further ado, let's just jump straight into the show. I won't beg, break, I'm going away. Every moment's one more chance to stand up or get in the show starts with a backstage shot of WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. He's getting out of his car or whatever, he's got his suitcase, and he's greeted at the entrance of the arena by Joe Manager Samoa Joe. And Joe's like, Drew, I know this is going to take you by surprise, but I don't want you to be here tonight. And Drew's like, what are you on about? And Joe says, well, Brock and Heyman are coming, and for the sake of my show, I'd rather not have you here because it's all gonna get combustible. And then Drew's like, don't be silly, Joe. And Joe's like, no, I don't think you understand me. This isn't one of these things where I say that you're gonna be gone and you're gonna pop up at the end and you're gonna give Brock Lesnar a Claymore. I genuinely do not want you in this building because I do not want you two together right now, because obviously you want to get back at Brock because you dropped out of an F5 2 nights in a row. But you're gonna have to leave, and Brock and Joe would have to escort Drew back to his car, and he'd leave the building. So Drew McIntyre not going to be here tonight, but Brock Lesnar will be. And we'll hear from him and Paul Heyman in the main event. Opening match gets a 61, which is pretty good for them. Decent match. Kabuki Warriors defeat the absolutely sensationally thrilling tag team of Natalya and Nia Jax, who I've called Nia and Natty, and made a tag team because they're shit and they're just going to job. But they've got zero chemistry together, so they can't even do that right. Asuka gets a 73, Kairi 51, Nia 33, Natty 39. I did put in, that Billie Kay and Peyton Royce would get involved and distract Asuka and Kairi. So basically the match is going on, and the Iconics would pop up at ringside, and they'd steal, Kairi's special umbrella and Asuka's mask, and run off and dance around with them on the stage, but it's not enough to distract them to beat the worst team in WWE history, because I'm not going to have Nia and Natty win. And this is just a segment of the Iconics on the stage, dancing around with Asuka's mask and Kairi's weird little umbrella, and then the champs would chase after them, but they would run to the back like dickheads with the possessions they've just stolen. 27, Bronson Reed gets a squash match against Titus O'Neil. They both score 39s, which for Reed's pop is good, for Titus's pop is terrible. But just need to get the thick boy a nice win here on Raw. Promo. Zelina and Andrade are backstage, and they're looking for Angel Garza, who they haven't seen since last week, because he gave up his spot Money in the Bank. He would try and get Seth Rollins. They'd run into him, and she'd be like, where have you been, Angel? He'd be like, sorry, I couldn't get to you because I have a match later on tonight against Murphy and Austin Theory. And then Zelina's like, oh, it's a handicap match against two of Seth Rollins' guys. Well, Andrade's here to help you if you need help. And Garza's like, no, it's not a handicap match. I'm going to be teaming with Kevin Owens. And then Kevin Owens would walk in a frame, and he'd be like, oh, don't worry, Zelina, I'll make sure Angel can get this win, because I also still have the issues of Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins and all them. So we're going to team up tonight. We're going to put an end to Murphy and Austin Theory, and then he's all yours. And Kev would take Garza and walk off with him because they had their partners tonight. And Zelina and Andrade would be so confused, like, wait, what? Why is he going off with Kevin Owens and not with us? Shayna Baszler promo. She said last week she was going to be here to try and defend her title against anyone who thought that she couldn't be the most dominant woman on Raw. Then she'd be interrupted by Xia Brooks and Candy Floss, who'd be like, not that we're saying that we are the most dominant, because we are still new here, but you gave Liv Morgan no chance, and it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog, etc. So we're both the similar size as Liv Morgan, so why don't one of us give you a chance to prove that you're the dominant champion? And Shayna's like, well, okay. I beat Liv Morgan with she'd say no threat, but Liv did give her a good go at it. and then it will be her and Candy Floss now for the title. Shayna wins, of course she does, defends the title, but she lasts 11 minutes for the champ, which is a good outing and a good way to sort of like get her pop without having to have her win in 5 rated matches like last week. So Shayna defends the title against Candy Floss, who gives her a good go, but can't quite get it done. The Viking Raiders make their entrance, and they're doing their whole Viking thing. They do war with the crowd when the new tag team of Riddick Moss and Oney, the Peak of Physique, who we saw the first time last week, come out and they mock the physique of Eric and, well, Ivar especially, for being out of shape and not being muscular hunks like them and Tony Nese are, and that they're here to prove that the future of tag team wrestling on Monday Night Raw looks as good as they do, and they like count each other's abs and sort of take selfies of their abs as they make their way to the ring for their tag team debut against the Viking Raiders, which does not go very well because in 8 minutes the Viking Raiders defeat the Peak of Physique when Eric pins Riddick Moss with a fallout. 50-49 for the Vikings, 40-31 for the Peak of Physique. So yeah, just a nice little segment to get these two teams on the show doing something, and didn't actually score that badly, all things considered. Promo backstage with the Street Profits, they watched that match, and they haven't got any challenges right now for the tag titles. So they like, oh, well, since we're ready for everyone and we are the Street Profits and we've got the smoke and we want to bring the smoke to the tag division, how about next week we have a triple threat match? It'll be the Viking Raiders versus the Peak of Physique versus Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink of Aussie Might, and the winners of that match will go on to the week after, so week 4, to face Montez Ford and Andrew Dawkins for the Raw Tag Team titles, and then Aussie Might would walk in like, yeah mate, you're on. We're going to win that match and prove that we're the most dominant team here on Raw, etc. So, basically, because Money in the Bank is a joint pay-per-view, and I've got a lot of matches I want to do on it, there wasn't enough room for a Raw Tag title match. So we could do that on Raw, and it'll be between the winner of next week's Triple Threat between the Viking Raiders, the Peak of Physique, and Brendan Vink and Shane Thorne of Aussie Might. Jinder defeats Humberto in 12:45 with the Colossus. Gets a 54, Jinder gets a 50, Humberto gets a 49. After the match, Jinder's celebrating, and as he goes to leave, he sort of sees Samoa Joe sat at the announce table, and he's like, yeah, that's right, that's what the Maharaja can do, etc. The Maharaja, if you give him the opportunities, he'll become the most dominant player on Raw, yet you're going to continue to not give me any opportunities. He'd slap the headset on Joe, off of Joe's head, and walk to the back, and Joe clearly wants to get up and choke him out, but he restrains himself, sort of just does his suit up, puts his headset back on, and just like continues talking with Tom and Byron, just like nothing ever happened. But Jinder is clearly frustrated about something. Clearly is not happy with Joe's leadership here on Raw, and Joe sort of is not happy with Jinder, but can't really do anything about it right now. R-Truth is with Charlie Caruso, and he's cutting a promo about how he's going to be watching SmackDown Live to see his baby be defended in that match between Oney Lorcan and Bo Dallas, and how that they better watch their back because you never know when Truth's coming to get his baby. He'd call Charlie Renee, and he'd call Oney some other name, and Bo some other name. I can't do R-Truth justice, but it would be funny. And just him basically saying that he's going to keep an eye out on SmackDown because there's that sanctioned match between Bo Dallas and Oney Lorcan. Liv gets a quick squash match. She wins in 5 minutes. Liv gets a 44. Chelsea Diamond, the enhancement talent, gets an 18. Jason Jordan is not a very good road agent. After the match, Liv is celebrating when Ruby Riott comes out and stands on the ramp. She tells Liv to enjoy this moment because her and Ruby are in Money in the Bank together, and now that she's with the Monday Night Messiah and she's no longer losing, Liv Morgan can use her momentum from those 2 wins over Ruby that she got, but no more, because next time they meet up in that match, it won't be the same outcome for Liv, and Ruby will be Mrs. Money in the Bank. And then Bianca comes out like, girl, you think you're going to be Miss Money in the Bank? That's me, because I'm the EST, etc. And the 3 women who are all the Raw representatives in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match get involved in like a 3-way argument, just sort of why they each think they're going to win Money in the Bank. Just another quick match, Rey Mysterio against Akira Tozawa. Nice little match to just show in the middle of the show. Goes 10-29, Rey beats him with a 619, gets a 66, Tozawa 50, Rey 70. Rey, of course, who handed the pipe to Drew McIntyre last week. Drew's not here this week. He failed to win the WWE title, so needed to give Rey a nice little rebound win, because he lost at the pay-per-view and he lost on Raw last week. He needed a win. And Tozawa was the best person available. Aleister Black is in Gorilla, and he has a 6-man tag team match against MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin of VIP Nation. And Aleister Black says that he respects Apollo's decision to want to become a winner here on Monday Night Raw, but he's wrestled him twice, and he knew he had that winner's edge without needing to sell out and suck up to MVP. And that will end up being the worst decision he made, because in doing that, he made an enemy out of Aleister Black. And there's one person you don't want to have an enemy out of, it's Aleister Black. And he's going to kick Apollo Crews' head off one day or the next. And at Money in the Bank, he'll become Mr. Money in the Bank. And that's when Ricochet and Cedric walk in the frame, just like, hey man, you're good to go, because they are the team in the 6-man tag team match. So Ricochet and Cedric are just sort of like buddying up with Aleister ahead of the 6-man tag match, in which Aleister Black and Cedric Alexander and Ricochet defeat it's Apollo MVP, not MVP, and Aleister pins Shelton. I really didn't want to pin any member of VIP Nation, but Shelton is the most expendable of the three, but Aleister Black has lost enough. He needed a win more than the group, because the group will be fine, because Apollo didn't take the pin, nor did Lashley. Shelton was there to take the fall, and Aleister, I thought, needed a win more, so they pick it up. Promo from the Messiah ahead of the Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory versus Kevin Owens and Angel Garza match. He says that follow from this day forward, the Monday Night Messiah and his disciples will run Monday Night Raw, and there's no signs of vulnerability within the group. So with that being said, he then calls Buddy Murphy to the front, and he says, last week, Buddy, you got beat by Kevin Owens, and quite frankly, we don't know if you're still loyal, because obviously we don't want any weak links within the church. So, as a consequence of you taking a loss and dragging the Messiah's name through the mud, you must take a beating from Akam. And Buddy's like, wait, what? And he's confused, but obviously he's loyal to the disciples, so he lets Akam give him a powerbomb, and then Seth pulls him back up to his feet and makes him and everyone else pledge the Monday Night Messiah before Garza and Owens come out for the tag match. So basically, we're getting very, very sort of cult vibes from Seth now. Anyone who disappoints him has to get a beating from Akam. And since Murphy got beat by Kevin Owens last week, he disappointed Seth. And he took a powerbomb from Akam right now. But of course, Seth's still loyal to his disciples, helps him up to his feet ahead of the tag team match, which gets a 69, nice. And Murphy and Austin Theory defeat Kevin Owens and Angel Garza, when Murphy pins Angel Garza, because Kevin Owens is waiting for the hot tag, and Andrade, being salty that Owens is teaming with his tag partner instead of him, pulls Owens off the apron and gives him a DDT on the outside, not on the concrete floor, just on the mat. And this obviously distracts Garza, who gives it a good fight against two men, but there is two men. So Murphy pins him in the end. Post-match angle is Andrade and Kevin Owens. Andrade continues to take the fight to Kevin Owens on the outside, and Garza sort of gets up, and Vega orders him to come outside and attack Kevin Owens too. And obviously he wants to go do it, because obviously he's still loyal to Zelina, he loves Zelina. But Murphy, Austin Theory, Seth and Akam, they have other ideas. They beat up Angel Garza. He takes another curb stomp, and they will hold out their arms over his downed body. Owens has been laid out by Andrade, because Andrade got salty that he was teaming with Garza. So just high tensions all over the shot here as we head into the main event segment. Ladies and gentlemen, My name is Paul Heyman. Heyman cuts a promo on how, at WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar lost to Drew McIntyre. But Brock Lesnar did not really lose to Drew McIntyre because Brock Lesnar was forced to travel overnight from his cozy ranch in Saskatchewan to an empty WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, to defend his championship during a global pandemic. Now, Heyman says, I'm not in the business of making excuses. This isn't an excuse. Drew McIntyre on that night was the better man. But we've arrested and motivated Brock Lesnar at Money in the Bank. There's not a snowball's chance in hell, Drew McIntyre, that you will be the better man against Brock Lesnar. And the soon-to-be, once again, reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Heavyweight Champion, Brock Lesnar. So, Heyman basically says there's no excuse for Drew beating Lesnar on WrestleMania, but at Money in the Bank, Brock's going to be fully rested, ready to go, and have his eyes on the prize as he looks to reclaim his WWE title. And of course, Drew McIntyre got sent home by Joe at the start of the show, so he doesn't come out, and Heyman and Lesnar just leave as the show goes off the air. A show which gets to 74, which I think is the best episode of Raw we've done. Still losing pop, but we're almost on the come up and turnaround now. And of course, again, what's more important than the actual rating is what you thought of the show, so do let me know what you thought in the comments. And I'll see you next time for SmackDown. See you then.